Welcome to this video about playing the changes. In the first video we heard about how blues originated from African music, and then later European educated musicians put things like a form and the chord changes to it. We end up with a 12-bar blues, and in its simplest form it has 3 chords. This is a blues in C. Of course, it'll be in the folder. If you have bought this video, you're going to be very surprised at all of the things that are in the free download. Backing track is one of them, and also some PDFs. We'll talk about them in a minute. But first of all, we want to learn how to play a chord, how to define it. There are 3 dominant 7 chords in the simple blues. It's C7, F7 and G7. This backing track does a few things which are not so simple. Sometimes the chord will go up a half step and come down. Now this is something that the soloist doesn't necessarily have to do. He can just keep playing whatever he wants to play. He could play the blues scale, or he can play the changes as we're talking about right now. So first we need to learn what's called arpeggios, and they are the chord tones played separately. With C7 we have C, E, G and B flat. And of course that's spread out all over the neck. That's the thing I would say. If you haven't already become familiar with arpeggios like this, you should use them as warm-ups. I'll just demonstrate, like, try not to look. Do you recognize that? That's Pretty Woman by Roy Orbison. That's a bass line, and he used the dominant 7 arpeggio. Pretty cool. Always play as high and as low as you can, because that expands your range. You can use all of this at some point. How can we make that musical? Like, let's just play along, for example, with this backing track. I'll limit it so that it's only playing 1 bar now. So it's just C. So we play our arpeggio. So it's not very musical, but I started to do a bit of vibrato. You can use any sort of phrasing technique that you're familiar with. We already talked about that in a previous video. We have hammer-ons and pull-offs. That could be, for example, if you're doing hammer-ons, you're obviously playing below the note that you want to go to. If it's C, then you could play B flat to C. That's probably better than playing a B natural, because B flat is one of the chord tones. And if you want to go to E, you could play a half step. That's like the blues sound in our blues scale, except E is not in the blues scale. That's why we're doing this thing, playing the changes. We're expanding our options. Playing up to G, you could use a half step, because that note is the blue note in our scale. Or you could use a whole tone, or a minor third. Going up to the B flat, you could use an A. A is what's called a 13. The video on comping had some examples of 13s in chords. We want to use notes from the scale called Mixolydian, which sounds like this. So it's got a natural 9 or a 2, major third, natural 4 or 11. G is the 5th. A is the 13, we already talked about that. And B flat is the flat 7. You have to make everything sound interesting. How can we do that? I already told you about hammer-ons, because pull-offs is just the reverse. You can slide up to a note. You can slide down. You've got to have your range. You've got to check it out everywhere, as slow as possible and as high as possible. Vibrato is important. Give it some emotion. I've got a PDF here called Playing the Changes, and you'll see when you download it that it's got 2 bars on each chord, and the first is just the arpeggio going up. With a fingering, this fingering, of course, is only one of the possibilities. What you've got to try and do is memorize the melody that an arpeggio is, because it's a melody based on thirds. And of course, sing it, da 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 da. Think of Pretty Woman. When you're singing it, of course, you're not worrying about fingerings. And that's what we've got to get happening, that our brain knows this melody, and it's not analysing it necessarily. It's not saying 1, 3, 5, 7. It just knows the sound. And once you've got that, you can start looking for places to play it. Generally, fingerings, 2 categories. Some that stay in a position, like where the chord is, and others will go up or down. Now, when they're going up, there's a number of ways you can learn these sort of fingerings. The general rule is, if an arpeggio's got 4 notes, then you could play 2 notes on one string and 2 notes on the next. So that would transfer to this. That's the first 2 notes and the second 2. Don't worry about playing speedy stuff. That will come, and try not to look. You get used to it, the guitar becomes an extension of your fingers. You're really doing it right. It feels like a part of you. And so that's why you see a lot of great players who don't look when they're soloing. They've got their eyes closed. Of course, they see in their brain, in the mind's eye, we say, they see what they're doing, but they don't actually have to look at it. I've written on this PDF the arpeggio and then the scale. Scales, of course, can start on any note within the scale. The Mixolydian scale is actually the major scale starting on the 5th note. So C7, Mixolydian, is F major. But that's sort of irrelevant, because we're not playing an F major chord, we're playing a C7. I'll just give you an example of how I could use arpeggios and the scale just playing on the C chord. I'm using chromatic notes. I forgot to mention that. Chromatic notes are notes that are not in the scale, not in our Mixolydian scale, but there are spaces where we can add something. Like, for example, adding a note sometimes gives the scale better balance, because the scale has 7 notes. And if you add a chromatic note, it's got 8, and that's even number, so. See? Not really doing anything except adding that one note, which is the flat 13. Another one you can do is there. between the root note and down to the flat 7. There's a whole tone space, so there's room for a chromatic note. This style of playing obviously is more jazz orientated than the blues that we heard on the first video. That's my intention now with this video. We're expanding our options. We're playing the changes. Another extension obviously is the 9. We've learned about that in the comping video. That's in the Mixolydian scale. What we can do is use an arpeggio like that, starting on the 3rd now, going up. With those 4 notes, we're really defining the 9th chord perfectly. A dominant 7th, 9th, with obviously 3rd, 5th, flat 7, and 9. See, you can just play it in another octave, find other fingerings for it. If you continue playing 3rds, you'll eventually get to the 11. And if you play another 3rd up, you'll play the 13. The 13's a nice, warm-sounding extension. That's in the chord here. I've got the 9 and the 13. Well, this chord is just the 13. And they're very common in comping. I think we talked about that in the previous video on comping. Just to finish up this video, try to come up with your own ideas of how to play through the changes using chord tones and scales and different intervals. The more you do it, the better you'll get. So I'll see you in the next video.